The Jungian, daily. Leela caught herself standing in the biology lab at 2 a.m. again, watching a death's head hawk moth spiral toward the UV light in the same pattern her great-great-grandmother probably watched a century ago. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd spent 6 years studying Lepidopteran navigation patterns, only to realize she had no idea how to navigate her own life. The resignation letter sat folded in her back pocket, edges soft from 3 weeks of handling. Her research grant was ending. Her advisor was pushing her toward a corporate entomology position, and everyone kept saying how practical that would be. But standing there, watching that moth follow something deeper than logic, she felt like she was betraying some ancient part of herself she couldn't name. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her mom about the job interview she'd scheduled for Monday. Some agricultural company that wanted to hire her to develop better pesticides. The same pesticides that were wiping out the very creatures she'd devoted her life to understanding. The smell of formaldehyde and old books in the lab suddenly felt suffocating. She'd been having the same dream for months now. She's walking through a forest at dusk, following a path that feels familiar even though she's never been there. In the dream, she knows exactly where she's going, towards some clearing where moths gather like living stars. She always wakes up just before reaching it, with this ache in her chest like she's lost something important. What struck her wasn't the dream itself, but how alive she felt in it. More alive than she'd felt in any conference room or job interview. More alive than when she was explaining her research to people who only cared about its commercial applications. The moth in the lab cage had stopped its frantic circling and settled on a branch, wings spread wide. Its patterns were intricate, purposeful, not random decoration but encoded information passed down through millions of years. Each marking served a function: camouflage, mate recognition, predator deterrence. Evolution had carved these designs into its very being. That's when it hit her. She'd been thinking about her career like it was something she had to figure out from scratch. But what if the blueprint was already there? What if all those childhood hours she'd spent in her grandmother's garden, cataloging every caterpillar and chrysalis, weren't just random interests, but clues to who she actually was? She remembered being 8 years old, finding a Luna moth that had died against her bedroom window. Instead of being sad, she'd felt this profound curiosity, not about death, but about the intricate perfection of its wing scales under her magnifying glass. Her parents had thought it was weird. Her teachers had called it a phase. But sitting in that lab at 2 a.m., she realized it was the most authentic thing about her. The corporate job felt like wearing someone else's skin, safe, practical, approved by everyone around her, but completely divorced from that 8-year-old who'd seen magic in moth wings. She was trying to force herself into a life that looked right from the outside, while ignoring every internal compass she had. She pulled out the resignation letter and unfolded it under the lab light. The words looked different now, not like giving up, but like shedding an old skin that no longer fit. Yes, she had enough savings to last 6 months, maybe longer if she was careful. Enough time to apply for field research positions, to reach out to the conservation organizations she'd bookmarked but never contacted. The moth had moved to the edge of its enclosure, pressed against the glass like it could sense the night beyond. Moths don't navigate by overthinking or following what others expect. They follow an ancient pull toward light, even when it leads them into unknown territory. Lila folded the letter back up, but this time she walked toward her advisor's mailbox. Her hands were steady as she slipped it through the slot. Outside the lab windows, dawn was starting to creep across the campus, and for the first time in months, she felt like she was moving in the right direction. Sometimes, the most radical thing we can do is trust the patterns already written in our bones.